is Reihan Salam, and this is my story. I'm the president of the Manhattan Institute, a think tank based in New York City. I'm a lifelong Brooklynite, and I am an American.
Brooklyn, New York.
My parents are immigrants from what is now Bangladesh.
Shout out to Bangladesh.
In 1976. When my parents first came to the United States, they had a very classic immigrant experience. My father was a professor in his native country. They had a real sense of pride about where they came from, the traditions they were a part of. At the same time, they were people who really embraced being in a new place. They were excited to be in New York City, to be in the United States. I think they really instilled in me that sense that you can be in every room as long as you do the work, as long as you are thoughtful and conscientious and kind. You have a right to build something, to create something, to make something of yourself. I'm immensely grateful to them.
That's dope.
I grew up in a milieu that was diverse, but people weren't talking about diversity constantly. It was actual diversity. It wasn't just about skin color. It was about specific traditions, specific people who lived in specific ways, all of whom were bought in on this country. Patriotism was just very present. It was just in the background. It was in the air. A lot of kids whose parents were from the former Soviet Union, from elsewhere in Asia, from Latin America, from the Caribbean, the folks who were native-born Americans were themselves typically people who were second or third generation. I didn't really feel as though I was defined or limited or constrained by my ethnic background. The thing that's really unique and unusual and incredible about this country is that it actually gives people the opportunity to build and organize and create great things. A lot of my political thinking emerged in high school. I thought of myself as a liberal, but I thought of myself as a tough-minded liberal. I was someone who really believed in the promise and potential of my country, and I was very, very patriotic. My parents never tried to direct me to think one thing or another, but they did want me to have reasoning. You know, they did want me to have some backbone. They did want me to have some argument that was coherent, that wasn't relying on authority.
Shout out to his parents, man, straight up. I venerate his parents. They're parenting. The instilling of positive things in the minds of Salam. Shout out to Salam, man.
But they did want me to have reasoning. You know, they did want me to have some backbone. They did want me to have some argument that was coherent, that wasn't relying on authority. I went to Cornell for 1 year, and then I transferred to Harvard
University
as a sophomore. I feel very lucky that I got to go.
Cornell's in New York.
Started thinking of myself as conservative a bit later in college. Well, I was an eccentric liberal. I was a heterodox liberal. And then it was finally I'm just a conservative. I was eventually stretching the definition of being a liberal to a point where the liberal folks on campus didn't recognize me as one of them. And I found that I had much more in common with my conservative classmates. There were a lot of folks in cities like New York and San Francisco who were saying, I know for a fact that there's a crime problem. And that becomes the little entry point. There's almost kind of this gateway drug. There's one area where there's a solid foundation
in certain cities.
Leads them to question everything else around it. Because, well, then, wait a second. If this thing that I am confident is true, then, you know, suddenly, well, what are all these other things that I'm being bullied into agreeing with? I'm very concerned about the ideological climate in higher education. When I was in college, Harvard was definitely a place that was decidedly left of center, but there was some diversity around the edges. My sense now from talking to a lot of students on campus at Harvard, but also elsewhere, the climate is much more hostile to dissenting ideas. In many cases, you have universities that exist to serve themselves. They exist to serve their employees.
The division is crazy, the bigotry.
Faculty, but this bureaucracy that oftentimes has this very sharp ideological perspective. So I really think this is a moment for Americans to think long and hard about what are we as taxpayers, as citizens, getting out of these institutions. I grew up in New York City at the height of the crack epidemic. it really felt like New York City was emptying out. Everyone who could was moving to the suburbs, and my parents made a very deliberate decision. They wanted to stay, but the big downside, the big reason so many of their friends were leaving was because of crime. I remember my father, this incident where he was mugged, and he was thrown to the ground.
Wow.
His glasses broke.
That's
there was
crazy.
Another incident when I was in elementary school. I was a latchkey kid, like a lot of kids in my generation. Came home, and our VCR was stolen. And I called my father to tell him. He told me, let's not mention it. Let's buy a new one and replace it. There was no sense in calling the police. Why bother doing that? It was